Are these LNG cargoes being diverted? Is that going to be enough to make any dent in the energy crisis in Europe?
Thanks for having me. The trend is definitely towards more LNG cargoes heading to Europe this month and next month. We see at Vista about 8 million tons of LNG heading to Europe between the last week of December and the next 3 weeks. It's great news. It's the outcome of the impact on pricing and whether it will be enough is going to depend also on the weather and Gazprom's moves in the coming weeks.
What are you expecting from Gazprom in the coming weeks? That is the big question, aside along with the weather. So let's talk about the Gazprom issue first. The IEA out today, the IEA chief talking about the fact that maybe Russia has exacerbated Europe's winter gas crisis. Do you think that we are going to see any shift in the policy when it comes to Gazprom?
So that's the trillion-dollar question, if you will. Gazprom has been unpredictable, and that's what has agitated the market. So all the potential signals that Gazprom could have agitated the level of gas storage, underground gas storage in Europe, the timing of the refilling of the storage, you name it, and announcements from the Kremlin. You may remember in October that Vladimir Putin had made an announcement that he would stabilize the market. That didn't happen. But each time we see an announcement from Gazprom of the Kremlin, we see a drop or a rise in TTF. And that basically confirms that Gazprom, the Kremlin, have still an outsized role in Europe gas market. They can, depending on their moves, they can influence the pricing, the level of storage, but also fuel switching. And they have been playing with those signals, and traders.
Leslie?
Yeah.
How do you know how much of it is Russia can't fill the pipelines, Gazprom can't fill it because of its own needs and supply issues, versus they are using it as a political tool?
So there are not much independent sources in terms of the availability of production, and inside the Kremlin, they have their own domestic gas need, of course. But what we've seen is that they've had no issue fulfilling their long-term contracts. The issue has been in them limiting the amount of gas available on the day-to-day spot market. So they have the availability to fulfill their long-term contract, but not the short-term supply, which is, questioning why they are fully able to respect one, but not the other.
What happens next winter? What do you think we're going to be looking like as we head into September, October next year? To what extent do you think we're going to see some of this storage being refilled back up to sufficient levels? Or is this something that we're going to have to be factoring into next winter as well? And the implications for inflation are something that we need to start thinking about now.
I think we're still looking at a very volatile gas pricing in the coming months. There is the Russia factor, but there are also, we need to look at other suppliers, especially LNG, that will have an impact on the European gas market. The European economic recovery and the forecast for gas demand in the industrial sector, of course, electricity, but we tend to forget also the transportation sector and industrial sector. Basically, I think that the situation will improve, but we're still looking at high prices in the double digit for a while.
There's some question, Leslie, as to if natural gas and nuclear, for instance, will be accepted and considered green as Europe transitions to this green energy plan. How does that factor in to the medium-term outlook for demand from the continent?
So I think that gas and nuclear will be included in the European taxonomy. That's a realistic decision because we need gas in the near medium term during the energy transition. And that will give a little bit more predictability also on the investments still needed in the gas sector. And that could be investments that are for LNG imports, underground gas storage, interconnectors, but also that they will be able to switch to include also low carbon gases such as biogas or also hydrogen in the future. So it's I think it's a pragmatic decision. In terms of demand, the demand of gas is real. You can see also that the German coalition has recognized the role of gas as indispensable in Germany during the energy transition, while Germany is closing coal plants, its last coal plants actually, and nuclear generation. In France right now, you have also like a shortage of nuclear power. So there is more reliance on renewable, but you need still gas as a balancing factor in the electricity sector.